Before I begin this conversation, I want to put out a trigger warning because this will talk about sexual assault and depression. If you choose to stay and listen, thank you. I admire your bravery, especially if you are a fellow survivor. And if possible, please share this because this is a conversation that needs to be had. A large part of me told me, Donny, you probably shouldn't even make this video. But my inner activist tells me that if I'm feeling that way, that means the information probably needs to be put out there anyway. The hardest part about being a survivor of sexual assault is combating the guilt. The guilt of, well, maybe I did something wrong, maybe I encouraged the situation, maybe I wore something, or maybe I said something that tempted the person into doing what they did. And then, of course, there is also the fear of being open with it and telling my story because people openly still do not believe largely that men can be sexually assaulted. In fact, I've been told many times that I am ridiculous for even talking about it, that I am weak, that I have no place to talk about something that only happens to women. And of course, when I hear that, it is basically pouring salt in a wound that's trying to heal. After my event, over 10 years ago now, I got help, I talked to counselors, I fleshed out my own inner turmoil and confronted it, and within the past couple years, I actually came out with the fact that I'm a survivor. I'm glad that there is momentum in the world that allows for people to talk about sexual assault. And last week, a pretty amazing trend happened on Twitter called #MeToo, which was initiated by, I believe, Melissa Milano, which its goal was to create conversation among women about sexual assault and sexual harassment. And I think the goal of it, at least from my interpretation of it, the goal of it was to create some sort of shock in people, to show them just how frequent sexual assault and sexual harassment happens to women. As a survivor myself, I found the language of the post associated with the #MeToo interesting, and I decided to, instead of putting women, put everybody, and I also included male survivors and transgender people in my post. And my post was met with positive response, largely, and encouragement and wonderful words, other people sharing their survival stories, but I did get some retaliation and some angry response from people. Angry response regarding how I am, in a way, capitalizing on this and overpowering the female voice by making it about men. I am sounding like the All Lives Matter movement because I'm jumping on the whole, oh, me too, I'm a victim too. Those are just about a couple of perspectives that people had. And I ended up making a larger, more elaborate Facebook post after that, talking about how patriarchy affects all of us, and how male sexual assault survivors are often marginalized along with transgender assault survivors because nobody is ever willing to listen to them. And they're often excluded by the majority who are affected by this type of trauma. The fact that the majority who is affected by that trauma, not all of them, but many, wish to exclude certain voices, that in of itself is a symptom of the poison that patriarchy is, because it seeks to separate people based on gender and a variety of other identities as well, especially marginalized identities. And I had a couple people tell me, well, I think you just need, Donny, to pick and choose when the right time is to have that conversation, and now is not the right time because this is a conversation that women should only have. And I was very depressed hearing that, Because in my mind, my question is, when will be the right time to have the conversation? When will I not be made to feel guilty for sharing my experiences? Sexual assault can happen to any person. I'm glad that there is as much conversation about it among women, and I think it should be that way, and I think that women should lead this conversation. But when I say lead the conversation, I don't mean exclude other people who have also undergone the experience. If the goal of feminism is to create solidarity between men, women, and, well, other marginalized identities, there cannot be exclusions, especially when certain conversations about this kind of trauma affect people like myself. I'm afraid. I am. I'm afraid that people will be upset about me saying this, even. But it needs to be said. We all need to involve ourselves. We all need to come forward and be honest. If we don't, then how will we make things better?